going through the onboarding overview, like actually a module that teaches reps exactly what they're going to experience in the first 30 to 90 days as they ramp up into the position, right? So literally a whole training based around the actual rep training program. But onboarding overview, company overview, how to set appointments, how to close appointments, which is like the sales process aspect of those sales functions, sales technology, your offer, your products and services, your customer profiles, which are the type of customers that you sell to, career advancement. Those are typically like the 8 topics that we include into our clients' new hire training universities, although it's custom depending on their actual sales model. So as an example, I'm not going to have setting training in there if I'm only hiring for a closing position. I'm not going to have closing training in there if I'm just hiring entry-level canvassers or setters on the phone, because why would I train them on closing if they don't need to be trained on closing, right? And so anyways, the ideal situation when you're building out your new hire training is that you can transition this to the form of a new hire training university, automating like 10 to 15 hours of training. And then you get the benefits of being able to get reps to train on their downtime without you actually putting the time investment into the training process. So the universities that we typically see, they're usually like 10 to 15 hours in length once they're done. Shorter if it's more entry level, longer if they're more senior level opportunities and they're more technical. But on average, we see they're like 10, 12, 15 hours, right? So Dynamo University is like 12 hours of training. And for most small business owners, that's too much volume of recruiting. Like that may sound overwhelming to some of you. So whether you want to recruit 2 reps or 20 reps, it doesn't matter. But the idea is, in that case, his university created, he signed 11 reps. He told them all to get through the university before they started on Monday. And before they came in to Monday, 2 had opted out of the process. 9 went through the entire university, showed up. They had already been through 10 to 15 hours of training before the owner, who has no sales leader yet, before the owner even invested any time into them, into live onboarding or any live management. They had already been fully trained into the position based on the university. And on top of that, which is really cool, the way that we set it up for clients, and you can do this yourself too. We'll talk about the resources if you want to do this yourself here in a second. But what's cool as well is if you had a university, reps would go through it before onboarding, but also what we help clients set up is we set it up as a requirement within their sales department. Reps have to go through it 1 time per week for the first 4 weeks. So they go through it 4 more times in month 1. And to recap, what that means is I onboard as a rep to your organization, I go through the online training before Monday, and that maybe screens me out because I go, oh, I've been through the training, I don't want to do this anymore, right? So that protects you or your sales leader's time. But then I show up to Monday, and part of the onboarding requirements in the first 4 weeks is I need to go through that same university over and over and over again, 1 time per week for the first 4 weeks, meaning I went through the university on my downtime without your time investment 5 times, once pre-onboarding and 4 times in the first 4 weeks. When you have a bunch of reps show up into onboarding on Monday, as an example, and let's say you hire 5 and 4 quit within 1 week, that really looks bad. And so you want to eliminate as much attrition in new hire onboarding as possible. And we've realized this university piece allows that to happen, or the majority of it to happen, before reps even show up on Monday. In that example, again, 11 signed, 2 opted out, 9 showed, and only 1 has cycled out so far in the first few weeks. Now, that's a recent example, but you should be able to get the picture of what I'm kind of laying down. Now, let's say that you had a 10 to 15 hour new hire training program, and reps went through it pre-onboarding, and then 4 times in the first 4 weeks as a part of their onboarding requirement. Well, all of a sudden you've automated 40, 60, 80 plus hours of new hire training without, again, you having to lift a finger, right? And the rep is learning about the company, setting appointments, closing appointments, your offers, products and services, the sales technology, your customer profiles, what they need to do to qualify to transition up into different sales opportunities later. They're going through that stuff over and over and over and over and over and over again, on top of actively doing the job on outside of that time when they onboard, like immediately in week 1. And it allows you to actually ramp up reps much more quickly. Okay, hopefully this is making sense. On top of saving the time, it's also a really good management tool, right? So let's say that you onboard 3 reps to start Monday. Well, for any company, whether you have full-time sales leadership or it's the owners managing that process, it is a big time investment, not just in the onboarding training, which you could automate, but it's also a big time investment for all the Q&A that happens for new recruits as they come on board. If I'm in my first 30, 60, 90 days with you, depending on how technical the role is, I'm gonna have a lot of questions that come up over and over and over and over and over again. And if you're recruiting high volumes of people, which I understand not all of you want to do, well, that's a lot of back and forth that you need to do with reps, and it kills your time. And so what's cool about the new hire training universities, you get the benefits of them training on their downtime, screening some out before they start on Monday, and then automating like 40 to 60, 80 hours of additional training in the first month. You also get that, but you also get to point reps back to your university when they have questions, right? So this owner of Dynamo University 3, these 9 people that started on Monday, they had everything in the university. And anytime they had a question, because he's a busy business owner, he's like, great question. That's in module 3, watch that. And let's pick up in the sales team meeting later in the week, right? And he's able to push them off to the university because they already have access to the answer. And we need to make sure that they know where to get the answers versus bogging down executive sales leadership. Now, eventually when Sri, in 3 to 6 months after he cycles in enough reps and we get him full-time sales leadership, that sales manager will be able to give more attention to each rep. But for the small business owner, you're only limited on time. And so the more that you can automate, the more that you can push off to online training, the better. Also, when you organize your content and you actually put the time into developing your training program, if you put attention towards it and it's organized and they're getting content in the right way and you've improved your training on top of adding the benefit of more training, right? So if I've structured out my training and now it's a better training program and also it's set up inside of a university and reps need to go through it pre-onboarding and 4 times in their first 4 weeks, which means they've gone through it 5 times in month 1, that better training and more training results into me increasing my retention rates. So we've seen clients' retention rates skyrocket literally by having their universities in place. It's because finally reps are getting trained correctly. They're getting the time investment, right? They're getting trained on everything correctly. They continue to get through the content over and over and over again, which means they're retaining the information. If I onboard into your organization and you try to give me all the information about your company in 4 hours in the sales opportunity, there's no freaking way I can retain everything and actually see success in the position. And we need a good training program. And the time investment on the front end needs to be developed into the training program. It needs to be transitioned into the form of a university so that you can get all the benefits that I'm talking about here. So that when recruiting is easy and you're pumping reps into the system, onboarding reps is easy as well.